Hi guys, welcome back to the Playing Hard YouTube channel. Haven't made any videos in a while. I've been preoccupied, so to speak. I've been defending myself in court. As you probably know from the last few videos, I live next door to someone with very high narcissistic tendencies. Now, as a disclaimer in this, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not a lawyer. But all I can do is relate an experience that I've had to you that'll hopefully help you dealing with a narcissistic neighbor. Now, to give you a little background, my family has lived on this property for 81 years. This guy moved in next door 3.5 years ago. Started right off the bat destroying my property, trespassing on my property, doing a myriad of things, and all the while telling me what I could do and what I couldn't do on my property, while he was violating many Baltimore County codes. So this is how the contention started between us. As soon as he started damaging my property, I had the ability, and I wanted to start doing documentation. I documented everything that he did to me, and took pictures, documented date, right down to the time of the day. So all that documentation has really served me well in this, and I would highly suggest, if you're dealing with a narcissistic neighbor, or one who has tendencies to be, I would suggest that you start documenting everything. Once I started turning him in for Baltimore County code violations, I turned him in for like 9 of them, and I think 7 of them he was cited for. He took that as an affront, and he started coming after me. So he sent me a cease and desist letter through his attorney that I had to stop harassing him, and they viewed the harassment as the code reporting. So, I kind of backed off then, but he was still making code violations, so I kept reporting him. So here's where things get ugly. He signed out a peace order against me. Now, in some states, they call that a restraining order, but it's basically the same thing. It's what they call an ex parte order. And from what I found out when we went into court, I didn't see anybody who was accused of harassment get off of this charge. Now, what they do when they fill out, this peace order request, this application for peace order, they are automatically granted a temporary restraining order that lasts for 6 days. In that end of that 6 days, you're required to go into court and tell your side. Well, unfortunately, my first attorney that I had hired was not only incompetent, but he didn't really know anything about peace orders. So the judge extended the peace order for a 6-month period. And I thought, well, that's fine, because it says I can't approach him at work, I can't trespass on his property, I can't do this, I can't do that. All things that what narcissists do, they do projections. And a projection is an accusation against you when they're actually doing the very things they accuse you of. So he was harassing me the whole time during this, but I thought, it's no big deal, right? It's going to extend 6 months, but I'm not doing any of those things anyhow. So it gets down to the last 4 weeks, of when the peace order was to expire, his attorney starts sending me threatening letters again. You're still harassing him. You're surveilling him. You're doing this. You're doing that. And that's in violation. And if you don't stop it, we're going to file contempt charges. So, and he demanded answers to his emails. And my second attorney, God, this man was great. He knew all about peace orders. He does a couple a week. And he said to me, he says, I tell you what we'll do. We will just ignore all of his emails. He says, you don't have to respond to any of his emails. He says, the only thing you have to respond to is a court order, which, of course, he didn't have at this point. So he waits 4 weeks, and it's like, I think it was 4 days before the expiration of the peace order, he files contempt charges against me. So my attorney says, this is no problem. Let's go into court and, we'll deal with this. Now, he said that he had pictures of me with binoculars spying on him. So we go into court and he goes to show the pictures. And I knew when the picture was taken, he was standing right on my property line with a camera with a telephoto lens taking pictures of me in my house. In my house. So, in Maryland, we have a two-party consent state. And what that basically says is you have to have permission from both parties to photograph, videotape, or, through voice recording of somebody on their property. You cannot do it without their permission. And this statute is a criminal statute. It's punishable by going to jail and also a $2,500 fine. So my attorney really knew nothing about this two-party consent state statute. While we're in court, he says to me, what's that statute again? And I told him the statute, and he reports that to the judge. And he asked the judge to go into chambers and make a ruling on this. So the judge comes out, and she makes a ruling on it. And she says, to the next door neighbor of mine, she says, well, the only visual surveillance I'm seeing is what you're doing to me. And she says, I would caution you against taking pictures of him in his house, and she dismissed the case. Now, as a result of that, I have had to put privacy tint on my windows to keep him from photographing me in my house. I've had to put a privacy screen on my deck to keep him from photographing me in my house. And just yesterday, I had one of his dogs attack me on my property. So all this has been documented, and documented well. His next thing is, now, he had 30 days to appeal the judge's decision for the contempt of court. So that extended everything out another month. So anyhow, the peace order has now expired. The only other legal avenue he has is a civil lawsuit, which he would fail miserably in because of all the documentation that I have and police reports against him, which he's claimed in the peace order thing. He's claimed that all of my calls to police departments and all the code violations were all frivolous acts that I, did to him. So, as a result, this is where we are now. This man has made my life a living hell. And I refuse to just up and sell my property and leave because he wants me gone. He's a malignant narcissist, as far as I'm concerned. I have a lot of experience in narcissism. I was married to a narcissist for 27 years. So this, in a way, they call this CPTSD. It's complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So when this guy moved in next door and started doing all the things that he's done to me, that has triggered me and the PTSD. The only way, and you'll see a lot of things on the internet, ways to defeat a narcissist and how to get one up on the narcissist and all this kind of stuff. I'm here to tell you, you cannot defeat a narcissist but one way. That's to cut off all communication with them entirely. Don't react to them. Don't even have a conversation with them. Everything I do with the next door neighbor now is through his attorney. And the reason I do that is because his attorney charges him every time he has a conversation with me. I refuse to speak to the man and will not speak to him ever. So I hope this helps in a way. Just be careful of these peace orders, because when I went in for the original peace order, nobody was presenting any evidence. It was all about their feelings. Well, I feel threatened from them. I feel harassed from them. And in our state, the peace order, you can't give any evidence that's older than 30 days old against who was making the claim against you. So in that situation, I was at loss because I couldn't prove in court of what a liar he is. He lies constantly. So anyhow, I hope that helps some people. This isn't, for a narcissistic partner in a relationship or whatever. This is about a narcissistic neighbor. In a lot of ways, someone in a relationship, it's fairly easy. Well, I say fairly easy, if you're married to them, you can divorce them. If it's boyfriend and girlfriend thing, you can get rid of them. I can't get rid of a neighbor. I'm stuck with this guy. So the only real way to deal with a narcissist is to ignore them. And that's what they call cutting off their supply. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, just cut off all kinds of communication with them and only communicate through a third party. That way, there's never any back and forth. Okay, folks, this is getting kind of long here at 13 minutes, but I'll see you on the next one.